The phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, its sharp chime slicing through the hum of the dishwasher. I wiped flour from my hands, the dough for tonight's dinner roll still soft under my nails, and glanced at the screen. Andrew's name glowed, a single text bubble beneath it. My heart did that familiar skip, expecting his usual running late or grab milk. Instead, the words seared into me like a brand, *, I sold the house. Needed the cash for my new life. You'll get your share eventually. Good luck, *, I stood frozen, the air in our cozy Seattle kitchen suddenly thin. The man I'd built a life with for 12 years, the father of our daughter, had just gutted our world with a text. My knees buckled, but I gripped the counter, the cold granite anchoring me as rage and disbelief collided in my chest. He didn't know the truth I'd been holding for months, a truth that would unravel his smug plans. Before I dive into my story, let me know where you're watching from and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever faced betrayal and fought back. Your support fuels these tales of resilience. I'm Grace Harper, 38, a project manager who'd spent years weaving together the threads of a life I thought was unbreakable. Our craftsman bungalow in Seattle's Fremont neighborhood smelled of cedar from the backyard pines, its creaky porch swaying gently in the evening breeze. Inside, the walls held memories, Lily's finger-painted murals from preschool, the scuff marks from Andrew's easel, the dining table where we'd carved our initials during a tipsy 10th anniversary, giggling like newlyweds. Lily, our 10-year-old, filled the house with her chatter, her sketchbook always open, her laughter echoing as she chased fireflies across the lawn on summer nights. This home was my anchor, every mortgage payment a vow to give Lily stability, every repair a labor of love. My days began with coffee in a chipped blue mug, the aroma mingling with the faint scent of Andrew's charcoal pencils. I'd kiss Lily's forehead as she packed her science fair volcano, then rush to my tech firm downtown, my heels clicking on the polished marble floors. The office buzzed with energy, coders debating algorithms, my team huddled over Gantt charts for a software rollout. I thrived there, leading projects that kept our clients' data secure, but I turned down a director role in San Francisco to stay near Lily's school. The promotion would have meant longer hours, and I couldn't bear missing her soccer games or bedtime stories. Andrew, a freelance graphic designer, worked from his cluttered studio in our basement, his desk buried under sketches of logos and cityscapes. His income was erratic, so I covered most bills, mortgage, utilities, Lily's art classes. I didn't mind. His dreams were part of our pact, forged back in college when we'd stay up late, plotting a life of creativity and love. We met at a campus art fair, Andrew's booth a riot of color, his hands smudged with ink as he explained his vision for a mural. I was studying computer science, practical and grounded, but his passion pulled me in. We'd spend weekends hiking the Cascades, Lily scampering ahead years later, or browsing Fremont's quirky shops, his hand warm in mine. Evenings were for family, spaghetti nights with sauce splattered on Lily's cheeks, board games where Andrew cheated shamelessly, Lily's giggles as he spun her around the living room. I'd catch his eye across the chaos, and he'd wink, a silent promise that this was enough. I sacrificed weekends to debug code, declined networking trips to chaperone Lily's field trips, all to keep our rhythm steady. Andrew's spark was my compass, his dreams of a big design break something I believed in, even when clients ghosted him. This was our shared dream, a life built on trust and compromise. But trust is fragile, and dreams can hide cracks. I'd been too busy, managing Lily's soccer schedule, leading a cloud migration at work, keeping our life on track, to notice how far Andrew had drifted. Or maybe I chose not to see, love blurring the edges of truth. The signs were there, small at first, like pebbles before an avalanche. A receipt for a dinner I hadn't attended, tucked in his jacket pocket when I grabbed it for dry cleaning. $62 at a waterfront bistro, 2 entrees, a bottle of Pinot Noir. I asked him about it, casual, stirring soup on the stove, the steam warm on my face. Client dinner, he said, not looking up from his sketch pad. They're picky about ambience. His tone was light, but his fingers gripped the pencil tighter, the wood creaking faintly. I nodded, pushing the unease down. The soup's time scent no longer comforting. A sharp citrus note that wasn't my lavender body wash. I found it while sorting laundry, the wool soft but foreign under my fingers. New hand soap at the coffee shop, he shrugged, tossing it into the hamper, his eyes sliding past mine. I wanted to believe him, so I did, folding the scarf with care, ignoring the knot in my gut. At dinner, he'd scroll through his phone, barely responding to Lily's stories about her volcano's baking soda eruption. His laughter, once bright, felt forced, his fork tapping the plate in a restless rhythm. I'd ask about his day, and he'd mutter about deadlines, his gaze fixed on the tablecloth's faded checkers. Our bedroom became a place of routine, not connection, his back to me as he scrolled into the night, the screen's blue glow casting shadows on the ceiling. I'd lie awake, the mattress dipping under his weight, wondering when we'd lost our spark. I suggested a weekend away, just us, imagining a cabin by Lake Washington, the water lapping at the shore. Too much going on, Grace, he brushed off, his voice clipped. Maybe in spring. That word, spring felt hollow, a placeholder for a promise he didn't intend to keep. I found more clues, a new watch on his wrist, sleek and expensive, when he'd claimed money was tight. A client gift, he said, too quickly, adjusting his sleeve. A hotel charge on our credit card, $180 for a downtown suite, when he'd said he was meeting a client in Tacoma. I stopped checking statements, trusting his assurances, but the silences grew heavier, filling our home like fog. Lily noticed, her questions sharper. "Why's Daddy always on his phone?" she'd ask, her pencil pausing over a drawing of our house, the chimney crooked but proud. The real blow came 3 months ago, buried in an email I wasn't meant to see. I'd borrowed Andrew's laptop to print Lily's field trip permission slip, his account still open on the kitchen table, the screen's glow harsh in the dim light. A notification pinged, confirmation, property appraisal scheduled. My breath caught, a cold prickled down my spine. Our house wasn't for sale. We'd refinanced years ago, every payment a step toward owning it outright, the mortgage statements neatly filed in my desk. I clicked the email, my pulse loud in my ears, the kitchen clock ticking like a metronome. A real estate agent, Vanessa Reed, had scheduled a visit to assess our home's value. Andrew had replied, discreetly, please. My wife doesn't need to know yet. The words blurred, my hands trembling as I gripped the laptop's edge. Why was he appraising our home? What was he planning? I sat there, the house silent except for Lily's soft snores upstairs, her stuffed rabbit tucked under her chin. I wanted to storm into our bedroom, shake Andrew awake, demand answers. But something stopped me, instinct, honed from years of spotting risks in million-dollar projects. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a betrayal, calculated and cold. I closed the laptop, my hand steady despite the tremor in my chest, the air thick with the scent of cooling coffee. That night, as Andrew slept, his breathing uneven, I began my own quiet moves. I checked our accounts, something I hadn't done in years, my laptop screen casting a pale glow in the dark. The joint savings were nearly gone, siphoned into an account I didn't recognize, the balance a mocking $200. Credit cards showed charges I hadn't authorized, hotels, a $3,000 necklace, a flight to Miami. My stomach twisted, but I didn't cry. I took screenshots, saved every transaction, and started planning, the click of my mouse a small rebellion. The next morning, I called a lawyer while Lily ate cereal, her spoon clinking against the bowl. Sarah Klein, a divorce attorney recommended by a colleague, had a voice like steel wrapped in silk. We met in her office, the Seattle skyline framed behind her, the scent of her jasmine diffuser calming my nerves. I showed her the evidence, screenshots, the appraisal email, my voice low but firm, the leather chair cool under my palms. He's planning something, I told her, my fingers tracing the edge of her desk. I need to protect myself and Lily. Sarah nodded, her pen moving across a legal pad, the scratch of ink grounding me. We'll start with discovery, she said. Quietly. He won't know we're watching. She advised me to secure my assets, monitor his communications, and document everything. I left her office with a plan, my fear hardening into resolve, the city's rain streaking the windows like tears I refused to shed. For weeks, I played the part of the oblivious wife, my smile practiced as I poured Andrew's coffee, the steam curling like a question mark. I kissed Lily's forehead before school, her backpack heavy with books, and worked late, my office's hum of printers steadying my nerves. But at night, I was a detective, my desk lamp casting a narrow beam as I worked. I tracked Andrew's movements through our shared phone plan, noting late-night calls to an unknown number, the timestamps glowing on my screen. I found a burner phone hidden in his gym bag, its cheap plastic cold in my hand, its texts confirming my worst fears, * can't wait to start over with you. The sale will cover everything. * the recipient was K, a name that burned into my memory, each letter a wound. I photographed the messages, my hands shaking not with grief but with fury, the camera's click sharp and unyielding. Andrew was having an affair, planning to sell our home, our life, for a fresh start with someone else. He thought I was clueless, too buried in work and motherhood to notice, my days a blur of spreadsheets and soccer practice. He underestimated me. That was his first mistake. I met Sarah again, this time in a quiet cafe, the clink of espresso cups masking our words. My folder of evidence was thicker than a novel, bank statements, texts, call logs. He's trying to liquidate our assets, I said, sliding the folder across the table, the paper crisp under my fingers. The house is in both our names. Can he sell it without me? Sarah's eyes narrowed, her coffee untouched. Not legally. We'll file an injunction to freeze the sale and start divorce proceedings. You've got enough to claim infidelity and financial misconduct. Her confidence steadied me, a lifeline in the storm. I wasn't just fighting for my home, I was fighting for my future, for Lily's laughter, for the life I'd built. The internal struggle was brutal, a war waged in the quiet hours. Every morning, I woke to a knot of doubt, my reflection in the bathroom mirror unfamiliar, lines etched deeper around my eyes. Had I missed the signs earlier, too focused on deadlines and carpools? Could I have saved our marriage, rekindled the spark we'd lost? Guilt gnawed at me, for Lily, who adored her father, his silly voices during story time her favorite ritual, for the years I'd poured into a man who'd discarded me like an old sketch. I'd lie awake, the house creaking in the wind, memories flooding back, our first dance at our wedding, Andrew's hands warm on my waist, Lily's birth, his tears as he cut the cord, the night we painted our initials on the table, laughing until wine spilled. Each memory was a blade, cutting deeper. But anger burned hotter, a fire in my veins. Andrew's betrayal wasn't just personal, it was calculated, a theft of everything I'd built, every late night, every sacrifice, every dream deferred. I thought of Lily's drawings taped to her bedroom wall, her vision of our house with its red door and blooming lilacs. I couldn't let Andrew steal that from her, couldn't let his lies erase her safety. I journaled in the dark, my pen scratching out fears and plans, the pages filling with resolve. I stared at old photos, us hiking, Lily on Andrew's shoulders, and felt a pang of loss, not for him but for the family I'd believed in. Confronting him was tempting, the urge to scream, to demand why, nearly overwhelming. But I paused, Sarah's advice echoing, "Don't tip your hand too soon." I chose strategy over emotion, a decision that felt like betrayal to my younger, trusting self but liberation to the woman I was becoming. I couldn't afford to be the victim, not when Lily's future hung in the balance, not when our home's walls held our story. The turning point came when I found the contract, a betrayal so bold it stole my breath. It was tucked in Andrew's briefcase, beneath a stack of design mock-ups, the leather case left open on his desk. I'd been searching for a client invoice he'd asked me to mail, my fingers brushing against the crisp paper. A draft sale agreement for our house, the buyer a developer offering $1.2 million, enough to fund Andrew's new life. My name was forged on the dotted line, a clumsy imitation of my signature, the ink smudged as if he'd rushed. I stood there, the basement's fluorescent light buzzing, my heart pounding so loud I thought it would wake Lily upstairs. The audacity of it, forging my name, erasing my stake in our home, ignited a fury I hadn't known I could feel. He thought he could rewrite our story with a pen stroke, leave me scrambling while he fled with his mistress. That's when I knew, this wasn't just about survival. It was about justice. I called Sarah from the car, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands, the steering wheel cold under my palms. He forged my signature on a sale contract, I said, the words sharp. We need to stop this now. Sarah didn't hesitate. Bring me the document. We'll file an emergency injunction today. I drove to her office, the contract in a manila envelope, the city's skyline blurred by rain. We met in a conference room, the table strewn with legal pads, the air thick with purpose. Sarah outlined the plan, halt the sale, flag the forgery, subpoena Andrew's financial records. I contacted Vanessa Reed, the real estate agent, posing as a curious wife, my voice calm despite my racing pulse. Andrew mentioned an appraisal, I said, twirling a pen to steady my nerves. Can you confirm the details? Vanessa sounded uneasy, her words clipped. Your husband said it was a joint decision. I'll pause until you both confirm. Her hesitation was my first victory, a crack in Andrew's plan. Sarah's team moved fast, filing the injunction that afternoon, the court clerk's stamp a quiet triumph. We uncovered a trail of transfers to an account linked to Kendra Larson, a marketing consultant Andrew had met at a conference, her LinkedIn photo all sharp cheekbones and confident smiles. I didn't stop there. I hired a private investigator, Tom, a gruff man who smelled of stale coffee and spoke in short sentences. His report arrived a week later, a manila folder delivered to my office, its weight heavy in my hands. Photos of Andrew and Kendra at a Miami hotel, their arms entwined by the pool, emails planning their move to Portland, a lease for a condo in her name, signed with Andrew's stolen funds. Each page was a gut punch, but I read it all, my office's hum of keyboards fading into silence. This was the truth Andrew thought he'd hidden, the life he'd built on lies. My plan unfolded in the shadows, each step deliberate, a chess game I played while Andrew thought he was winning. I didn't want a screaming match or tearful pleas, I wanted precision, a scalpel not a sledgehammer. Sarah drafted divorce papers, citing infidelity and fraud, demanding full custody of Lily and equitable division of assets, her office's mahogany desk gleaming under lamplight. I met a forensic accountant in a sterile downtown office, his spreadsheets mapping Andrew's hidden accounts, ensuring he couldn't dodge alimony. I secured my finances, opening a new account at a bank across town, the teller smile a small kindness as I redirected my paycheck. I monitored Andrew's emails through a hacked Wi-Fi password he hadn't changed, each login a secret rebellion, his messages to Kendra growing desperate as funds dwindled. I even spoke with Lily's school counselor, a gentle woman who suggested art therapy, her office lined with children's drawings. Lily's perceptive, she said. Prepare her gently. I nodded, planning a weekend of talks to ease her into the change, my heart aching quietly, the Seattle rain a soft patter against the windows. Andrew was at a client lunch, Lily at a sleepover, her backpack stuffed with pajamas and her favorite book. I sat at our dining table, the contract with my forged signature before me, its red circle a silent accusation. Sarah's number was on speed dial, my phone warm from my grip. A text buzzed, asterisk paper signed. We're good to go. Be out by next month. Andrew's arrogance was my cue. I replied, you might want to check with Vanessa. Sales off. Call me. The phone rang 30 seconds later, his voice sharp with panic, the restaurant's clatter faint in the background. Grace, what the hell? You can't just. I cut him off, my tone even, the tables would grain steady under my fingers. You forged my signature. That's fraud. The house isn't sold, and it won't be. We need to talk. He stammered, deflecting, but I hung up, the silence a victory. He arrived home an hour later, his face flushed, tie askew, rain darkening his jacket. This is a misunderstanding, he started, pacing the living room, his shoes leaving damp prints on the hardwood. I was trying to secure our future. I slid the contract across the table, my forged name glaring. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's a crime. His eyes darted, searching for a lie, but I held his gaze, unyielding. The confrontation was quieter than I'd imagined, a storm contained. I laid out the evidence, bank transfers, texts, Miami photos, each item a brick in the wall between us. His excuses crumbled, each lie thinner than the last. Kendra means nothing, he tried, his voice breaking, hands raking his hair. I was trapped, Grace. You're always so perfect. The blame stung, a jab at my strength, but I deflected it. You made your choice, I said, my voice steel. Now face the consequences. I handed him the divorce papers, the pages heavy with his betrayal, my terms clear. His eyes widened, scanning the demands, custody, alimony, the house. You can't take Lily, he protested, his chair scraping the floor. Watch me, I replied, calm but firm. You don't get to destroy her home and keep her trust. Andrew left that night, his suitcase half-packed, muttering about lawyers, the doors slam rattling the windows. The house felt lighter, as if his lies had been a shadow on its walls. The aftermath wasn't gentle. Andrew fought in court, his lawyer arguing he'd acted under financial duress, a claim Sarah dismantled with a prosecutor's precision. We stood in the courtroom, the judge's bench looming, her sharp eyes scanning the evidence, forged contract, affair photos, bank records. Sarah's voice was steady, detailing Andrew's fraud, each word a nail in his defense. The judge ruled in my favor, her gavel a thunderclap, full custody, the house mine, alimony secured. I exhaled, the courtroom's air heavy with finality, Sarah's hand on my shoulder a quiet reassurance. Lily was my heart's battle. She'd ask why Daddy wasn't home, her sketches now jagged lines and storms, her pencil digging into the paper. I enrolled her in art therapy, sat with her on the porch swing, its creak a lullaby as I promised we'd rebuild. Will we lose the house? She whispered, her eyes wide, clutching her rabbit. Never, I vowed, holding her close, her hair soft against my cheek. We spent evenings talking, her questions raw, why Daddy left, if she'd done something wrong. I answered honestly, shielding her from the worst, my voice steady despite the ache. Therapy helped, her drawings softening, blues and yellows creeping back. I took a promotion, the director role I'd declined, my new salary securing our mortgage. The office buzzed with my return, colleagues noting my focus, my glow up. I didn't feel glowing, but I felt strong, my desk now a command center, my name on the door. Andrew's downfall was poetic, a slow unraveling. The developer sued him for breach of contract, the lawsuit draining his accounts, his lawyer's fees piling up. Clients dropped him, rumors of fraud spreading through Seattle's design community, his portfolio no longer enough to save him. Kendra left, unwilling to wait for a broke man, her condo lease defaulted, the Portland dream reduced to a single duffel bag. I heard he was crashing on a friend's couch, his calls to mutual friends unanswered. I didn't gloat, didn't need to. Justice wasn't in his pain, It was in our freedom, in Lily's mural on the garage, bright swirls, no storms, her laughter had reclaimed our backyard. Months later, I stood there, the grass cool under my bare feet, the scent of lilacs drifting from Lily's garden. The house was ours, its creaks and corners a testament, every payment a victory I'd earned. I'd started painting again, a hobby I'd abandoned for Andrew's dreams, my canvases now unapologetic, bold reds, sharp angles, a woman's silhouette rising. Work thrived, my team landing a contract with a global tech firm, my name on industry shortlists, my office now a view of the Puget Sound. I even dated, a quiet coffee with a kind architect, his questions gentle, his laugh warm. It wasn't love, but it was possibility, a door I'd thought I'd closed. The truth Andrew never knew? I was always watching, my strategy a web woven in silence. He thought he could erase me, but I was the architect, rebuilding from his betrayal. His text had been his last mistake, a spark that ignited my strength, not my ruin. As Lily painted, her brush dancing, I realized betrayal hadn't broken us, it had forged us, our home a beacon, our story mine to write. What would you do in my shoes? Have you faced a lie and turned it into triumph? If this journey from betrayal to empowerment moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of unbreakable spirits. Share in the comments, have you ever had to rise above someone's cruelty? What did you reclaim? Your story could light the way for others.